Now we're going to talk to another artist, graphic designer, Andrew Smith, creator of the Jokerman font.
Now, let's go to the Time Crisis Hotline.
Hello?
Is that Andrew?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Andrew. You're on Time Crisis with Ezra, Jake, and Seinfeld 2000.
Hi, how are you?
We're great. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in.
That's all right.
We have so many questions. Don't even know where to begin. So first of all, what's the best way to describe you? You're a graphic designer who also creates typefaces, or is there a specific word for somebody who makes fonts and typefaces?
Yeah, I suppose you could say, I am a graphic designer, but a typographer as well, I suppose you could call me, type designer.
Okay, so you're a type designer and graphic designer. Okay, so the first question I got to ask, because even right here on my notes, we wrote Jokerman font, and we've been talking about Jokerman quite a bit on the show, and I've noticed that it rubs some people the wrong way because there's a debate about whether you call it a font or a typeface, and I think the Joe Schmo on the street, Joe Sixpack, has decided that font and typeface mean the same thing, and I'll admit I am a Joe Schmo, but for someone like you, can we call Jokerman a font, or is it a typeface?
I'd say they're the same thing, aren't they? I mean, I don't understand why people are calling them two different things.
Thank you. You heard it here. Andrew Smith has laid down the law. Fonts and typefaces are the same. I mean, I looked it up, of course, when I started getting these messages that were where people were kind of saying like, what's the matter with you, man? It's not a font, it's a typeface. And it seemed like there used to be a distinction when people were literally laying letters into a printing press.
Yeah, that's probably where the font side of things comes from, doesn't it? So,
right.
I mean, the term typeface is probably more for computers and the digital side of things, and that's probably where that's sort of come from in the last 20 years or so.
One thing that's interesting about Jokerman is everybody knows this font, but not everybody knows the name. Like, I've been pointing out examples of it, and then suddenly everybody, all my Instagram followers, now they're seeing it everywhere. It's kind of it's like you learn the language, and now you see it everywhere, because here in LA, I saw a barber shop, the sign was in Jokerman. So it's a very influential font. And so is it named after the Bob Dylan song Jokerman?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yes, that's awesome.
I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, and I wanted to pay tribute to him. So, and I like the song, and I thought that's quite a funky name, and it goes with the style of the font. So it is, you're right, it is from the Bob Dylan song.
I'm so happy to have confirmation of that.
That is gratifying.
I also love that song, and my band has been rehearsing a cover of it.
Oh, okay. Yep. And how's it going?
It's good. We kind of jammed it out, and it's already a 6-minute song. We have an 11-minute version.
Wow.
11-minute Jokerman, but I think it's one of his best songs of the 80s.
Jokerman danced to the nightingale tune, bird fly high by the light of the moon. Oh, Jokerman.
Okay, so it's 1995. You're creating this font, Jokerman. Are you making it for Microsoft?
Oh, no. We're not making it for Microsoft, no. Have you heard of Letraset?
Sounds familiar. I'm not sure what that is.
It was a big company in the sort of 60s and 70s and 80s. They used to make dry transfer lettering. So back in the old days before computers, if you wanted to design a layout, you'd buy your dry transfer lettering and you'd have to rub down the letters and space it out. So I worked for this company, Letraset. I worked in the type studio, and we digitized fonts and we designed fonts. So that's where I sort of learnt my craft, and that's how I started to design fonts, typefaces.
Can you paint a picture for us? At that point, 1995, you're making Jokerman. Are you thinking about how this font's going to be used? Are you seeing a hole in the marketplace that you're trying to fill with this font? Did you have like an ethos going into the creation of it?
I wasn't thinking how people were going to use it or anything like that. It was more about, I suppose, in those days, the more creative, crazier type of wackier fonts, there weren't a lot of those around. So, people were starting to do these sort of more creative typefaces. So that was sort of where it sort of stemmed from. I didn't have an ethos, as you say. I just came up with an idea. It wasn't influenced by anything. It was I just thought of it.
It's interesting because we were talking before, like Jokerman, when you see the font used, people have been sending me examples. It's like so many different types of things. It can be.
Well, what's it being used on then? What have you found?
Well, like I said, in LA, there's a barber shop in Hollywood that uses Jokerman. Okay. Definitely seen it used occasionally with stores and things related to like children, like a toy shop.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a kind of whimsical nature to Jokerman.
Yeah.
We saw that, there's this festival in the US called Burning Man.
No, I don't know about that. It's
kind of, how do you describe it? It's a big techno hippie utopian festival out in the desert.
Right.
Which is very popular now. And they build a giant man, they burn it at the end of every festival, every year.
Okay.
And somebody sent us a picture that one year they put the ashes of the 2001 Burning Man in a jar that the founders of the festival keep somewhere, and the jar was labeled in Jokerman. So, that's this kind of techno utopian hippie festival, and they chose Jokerman, at least in one small way, to represent the festival. So if I had to say some of the repeated types of places, I'd say things related to childhood and fun and toys.
Right, okay.
Oh, and definitely coffee shops too. Like I've even seen Jokerman referred to as part of a larger set of fonts called Global Coffee House, which reminds people of kind of like a 90s coffee house vibe. So I'm curious, when you hear about these different things, as the creator of the font itself, did these resonate with you at all? You're just kind of like, that's interesting. People are going to do what they do. Does it make sense to you?
Sort of. I mean, how people want to use the typeface is up to them. If they think it works, I mean, that's fine with me. But, I mean, some of those sound a bit, I never envisaged that it would be used for some of the things you just mentioned.
Right. As I was kind of looking through your font portfolio, I was also interested to see that Jokerman, I've even occasionally been seeing kind of knockoffs, and then I kind of had to go check, and I was like, oh wait, that's not actually Jokerman. But there's kind of a lot of similar fonts, and one of which, not a knockoff, but one that you created that's almost like a sister font is Laughin'.
Right, yeah.
How are those fonts related to you?
Yeah, they're quite similar, I suppose. That one's not as popular as Jokerman, so I prefer Jokerman, maybe because it was the one I did first, so...
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's the original.
Yeah.
They both have this kind of motif of dots to the side of certain letters.
Yeah, there's no theory with that. It's just what's come out on the page, so I wouldn't read too deeply into the two of them.
I've already written a few hundred pages of my thesis, so
have you?
You know, I am curious about the relationship. I mean, I'm also...
Are you doing a thesis on this or something?
No. Somebody suggested to me that somebody should make a book of Jokerman called Jokerman Wild. I forget it's such a good name. I forget, it was somebody on the internet. A Jokerman Wild, which would be a coffee table book of Jokerman font in the wild, like on signs and things like that.
Wow.
We need your permission for that. But one question I have, is Jokerman your most popular font you've been a part of? Because as I look through your portfolio, I definitely see a lot of familiar faces.
I know Smudger's done quite well. That's a sort of a brush script font I've done. And also my John Lennon font, Goo Goo Gajoob. Have you seen that one?
Well, I noticed that. So I guess that you have at least two fonts that are indebted to songs.
Yeah, I mean, I am working on a Dylan font at the moment as well, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I've only just started thinking of that at the moment. So I'll keep you posted.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to see that. And one that also jumped out to me, which was very familiar to me, Chiller. It's kind of a slightly spooky, handwritten font. But then you look at it and you're like, but it's very specific. There's a lot of things that could be like that, and yet that's the one, So Chiller seems very popular to me.
Yeah, that is. And the reason I called it Chiller, because I happened to be watching a Hitchcock film at the time when I was working on it. So I just thought Chiller was quite a nice name. And because it's called Chiller, I think it lends people to use it for the more sort of horror type applications.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. If you hadn't called it Chiller, because as soon as I see it and you see it written out in the word Chiller, you think it's spooky. But if you had called that one Sunny, who knows?
I mean, the names of fonts, or typefaces, it does sort of psychologically affect how they get used. And obviously the name helps, like people are looking for a horror font, then, something we call Chiller would come up in a search or something. So that does influence people's sort of use of them, if you see what I mean.
No, totally. It's like if Jokerman had been called, like, New Jersey. People would have had very different associations with it.
Eggman, I am the walrus.
One thing we were talking about, maybe you, I don't know when the last time you listened to the song Jokerman was, but it's a very mysterious song, and I would say it's a mysterious font as well. What does the phrase Jokerman connote to you? And I understand the font, you know, that's something you made that goes out to the world and they use it how they want to, but can you take us back before it was a font, like, and you heard the song Jokerman? It is such a mysterious phrase, and actually I checked. I was curious about what are the roots of this phrase Jokerman, because we all know there's a Joker, and we know what man means, Jokerman. It seems natural. Like, for all I know, Jokerman is, a figure that you'd find in history books. And I did that Google book search where you can search like 19th century, 20th century.
Okay.
And until the Dylan song, the phrase Jokerman, you barely find. You know, occasionally you'll find somebody says Joker, comma, man, or, once or twice Jokerman, like as if it was somebody's name or something. But the character of Jokerman didn't really exist until the Dylan song. So we talked on this show about, like, what do we think Jokerman is? I have a theory that it's a Joker plus Batman, representing the duality of man.
Wow.
But I'm curious, do you have an interpretation of this figure of the Jokerman?
Not really. I mean, it's because I wanted to pay homage to Dylan. I just like the name Jokerman and I like the song. So I didn't really read too deeply into the meaning of it. You've obviously really gone into it quite deeply.
I have.
It's a bit of an obsession, is it?
It's a bit of an obsession. This kind of reminds me of, there's a part I remember as a kid watching this John Lennon documentary where this American hippie like climbs the wall to his house, and John Lennon comes out and he's like, "What do you want, man?" And he just like, "Well, yeah, I listened to your record and, I understood the meaning of the song and you were talking to me." And John Lennon goes, "I wasn't talking to you. I don't even know you. It's just a song." And the guy's kind of like, "All right, man." So you said you're working on a Dylan font. What else are you working on these days outside of fonts?
I'm a freelance designer, so it's just a bit of all sorts, really, whatever I can get, in terms of work.
Are you open to collaboration?
In what respect?
I don't know. I've got this band, Vampire Weekend. We always need some ideas, and we actually kind of wanted to do a Jokerman shirt, but maybe we could come up with something together.
Well, that sounds interesting, yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you might be open to helping us make a font, a Vampire Weekend font.
Wow, a whole font.
Well, again, I don't know.
That's caps and lowercase.
We don't have to start negotiating fees on air, but
You've done some drawings, have you?
no, I would probably send you.
You're out of your depth here, bud.
Well, look, I'm a vibe guy.
Yeah, I know.
I would probably send you a series of phrases and maybe a mood board.
Oh, right, yeah. And what would be on the mood board then?
Maybe some music. I could send you our new album.
Well, that'd be great, yeah.
Almost nobody's heard it, but I'd send it to you, sure. Well, Andrew, no matter what, we actually, on Time Crisis, we make some shirts, and we used Jokerman recently on the back of one of our shirts. And
Thank you very much.
everybody's been loving that. The front is Futura Bold. It says 8-minute Cape Cod, and the back says, "This show rules," and Jokerman.
Right.
But actually, we've been talking about, we got to do like a full Jokerman shirt. And even the fact now that we have confirmation that it's named after the Dylan song opens up a whole new world for us. I understand for you, there maybe is not too much meaning, but for us, that opens up a whole new universe.
Wow, so what's going on in this universe then?
Well, the fact that we've been so excited to cover this song is to delve into the universe of Jokerman, and the fact that there is a typeface with the same name, there's some kind of synergy there, and there's some type of wisdom in that song. And for me, like I said, there's something about that song that represents the duality of man. I've always been interested in that intersection of lightheartedness and heaviness, which I think the song has, and the character Jokerman, and the font.
Wow.
That's always been the place that I've found the most fascinating. But anyway.
Have you spoken to Mr. Dylan about this then?
We're going to have to get him on the next episode.
Yeah.
Do you have any information? I mean, now that it's been 23 years of the font, has anybody ever talked about the Dylan connection to you and said, "Oh yeah, actually like Bob," has that anything ever gotten back to you, whether Bob knows about the font, anything like that?
No. I mean, I haven't heard from Bob's people if he likes it or if he's seen it. I mean, it'd be nice to know.
Look, there's not a lot that we can offer here on Time Crisis, but one thing is we have a few connections in the music industry. So now that we have confirmation that there is a connection between the font and the song, I'm going to make it my mission to see if I can get any real confirmation.
That'd be great. If he could send me a little note or something just to, that'd be brilliant.
I'd like to think my image of Bob is he's the type of guy who would appreciate it,
Yeah. He's coming over to the UK next year with Neil Young to play in the summer.
Oh, I saw that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I could meet him. You could pull some strings or something.
Well, I know that he's pretty cagey about meeting people.
I know.
Because
yeah.
we actually played on the same stage as him in Japan this summer. We played right after Bob Dylan, not because the festival wanted us to headline over Bob, but because he was like, I want to leave early.
Right.
You can swap me with whoever's playing before. So they're like, all right. But we watched him a little bit on the side of the stage, but we were told very strictly, like,
No eye contact.
no phones, even though he's on stage in front of, 100,000 people. And they also said, if he walks past you, whatever, just, don't say anything. We're like, all right.
Bow your head.
Fair enough. It's Bob Dylan.
He'd probably want to have a chat with you. Maybe his people don't let him. I don't know. I heard a story that when he was in the UK a while ago, he went to Liverpool and did the bus tour, the Beatle bus tour.
Really? Just the tourist
Like
tour?
wearing a hat and a coat and stuff. And a lot of people didn't recognise him, and...
See, that's what you want to hear about Bob Dylan. Just just checking out the Beatles bus tour, just low key.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Andrew, thanks so much for taking the time. We hope you'll call in again.
Well, thanks. It's great. You love the font so much, and it's bringing a lot of joy and happiness to you.
100%, and to a lot of other people as well.
That's great.
So thanks, Andrew. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
Okay. Cheers then.
Bye.
Once upon a time.